Hi, welcome to the Undiagnosis. We don't legally diagnose you during this podcast, but we will kind of analyze what relationships, trending stuff on TikTok, and God knows what else.
Lovely, dear.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay. Um,
You want me to take a shot at it?
sure.
Okay.
Sounds like you want to.
That can be in our bloopers.
The most judgmental sip I've ever seen.
At least it wasn't loud.
That's true.
Welcome to the Undiagnosis, where we cannot legally diagnose you here on this podcast, but we will definitely analyze what's coming up in most of the trends that you see in the reality TV that you watch and in the relationships that you're having. We're so excited to have you with us. I'm Melissa Holbrook, and
I'm Jake.
This is my husband, Jake.
Hi.
Did that work well enough?
Cool.
Okay.
So first, who died?
That's a nice entryway. Yes. We're going to talk about death of relationships. So I thought it would be fitting to look like I'm going to a funeral today.
Okay. Thanks for the memo.
And I look slimming. And I look slimmer.
You don't need slimming.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So normally I'm the one wearing all black, but
I know we kind of did we did a reverse. You're white and I'm dressed in white, and I usually am the one dressed in lighter colors. But no, actually it's because it's fall and it's getting colder, and I'm super excited for it. I'm like I really like when it gets a chill in the air.
Well, I'm not supposed to wear white after Labor Day. Is that a thing still?
I don't think it counts for men.
Does it not count for men?
Well, you're colorblind, so we'll go with that.
I can tell white and black.
Maybe.
All right.
But we were wanting to talk about deaths of relationships.
Yeah.
And like what contributes to the death of relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about the Gottman's Four Horsemen as a way to educate about that.
Yeah. So they were able to determine to 92% accuracy whether a couple was going to make it or not, based on the 4 criteria of the Four Horsemen. It was stonewalling, defensiveness, contempt, and I always forget the last one.
Oh my God, I did too. Stonewalling, contempt, defensiveness, criticism.
There we go.
Criticism.
Yeah. So I think they did determine.
Which one do you do?
Yes. Right. Actually, I had a couple just on Friday, and I was kind of sitting there with them, and the husband was like, "Yes, I do all of them." The wife's like, "I just do the one." I was like, "Okay."
It's like the 4 love languages, where everyone's like, "Oh, this is the one that's me." It's like, well, actually, most people want all of them.
Right. I think defensiveness fits in with just about everybody. It just might look a little bit different, because even stonewalling is a defensiveness, right?
Sure.
Might look a little bit different, but yeah, they did say that the most damaging one of the 4 horsemen was contempt. Right. The way I describe that is, it's the story you tell yourself about who your partner is. Right. And they did say they were able to determine in their lab, where they've watched over 2,000 couples spend a day or two in the lab, that there's a physical gesture that goes along with contempt, and it's the side smirk. It's it's that little upturn of the cheek.
Yeah.
Right. That's like the cue, like, okay, here we go again.
Yeah.
It's the eye roll, right? Which actually literally goes into turning away from your partner, which is another one of their big ones. But
the opposite of leaning in. Yep.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I would say I'm pretty good at defensiveness.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really good at being defensive. Yeah. What about you?
What am I best at? Oh, contempt all the way. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think I'm pretty good at, because I'm such an avoidant personality. Sometimes I think I do really well at stonewalling, where I just shut down.
Yeah.
And stop talking and stop contributing to the conversation, stop working in towards something with you. So I'll shut down and just whatever. Yeah. Whatever works, dear.
And then when we put the overlap of attachment style on top of that, it's kind of fun to see how the turning away triggers the abandonment and what that turns into. So,
and there's a whole spiral effect that happens with it. Yeah, I think with couples that I work with, it helps to identify what it is that's happening, like to name it. But we also use it just like attachment styles. It's just helpful to name it
Mm-hmm.
more than it is to like label something. Naming it just helps us navigate the next goal. Like the antidotes that they have for all four of those things are super helpful.
Yeah.
Like with contempt, finding things that you admire or adore about the other person, leaning
Gratitude.
towards finding gratitude. And like
with defensiveness, it's the self-soothing.
Yep.
Right.
Calming your nervous system.
Right. Which has been a big thing that I've been working on for the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Has been just learning how to ground myself and use embodiment to try and get back into my body and out of my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So.
And stonewalling is kind of the same thing, where you're wanting, like the stonewalling is based on a mechanism of not having the tools to self-soothe while you're in conflict. So
right.
being able to just not view it as a threat, not view the conversation or the conflict as a threat, but instead welcoming the conversation. So reframing it as something that is actually helpful for the relationship to have, and that in healthy doses, it means that you're actually in a healthy relationship. And I've been working on that, acknowledging that just because we don't agree or like what the other person has to say doesn't necessarily mean that they're wrong, or I think less of them, or that the relationship is imploding. It just means that this is an area where we need to grow or figure some things out, or I need to grow. And then
I think it's gentle startup was the antidote.
Yeah.
For the stonewalling, right? Which is interesting, because if you're the person that starts to kind of shut down or pull away, they talk about how it's important for that person to be the one to come back and re-engage. Right? Using that gentle startup is, it's a way to kind of come back and kind of lower the defensiveness maybe of the other person, or potentially too, right? By, because just about in every situation, there's something we could do better, right? And without finding something genuine to do that with, it's kind of hard, right? Coming back to the situation, like, I don't know that I handled that very well. Is it okay if we try again? Right?
Yeah. And as someone who does a lot of that, I think when I have a client who I can tell does a lot of stonewalling as part of their four horsemen traits, that's the goal, is to get to a point where you see conflict as not problematic, and that or an attack, and that you also see the ability to re-engage as a strength that you're coming back towards. But I think a baby step towards that is, like, we set time limits for breaks, learning how to advocate for a break instead of shutting down. I think that's where we typically start first when we work with couples who do a lot of stonewalling, is just noticing that that is what you're doing, and how to advocate for yourself before you get to complete shutdown mode. And what to do once you do take that break is super important. I'm noticing, for not just myself, but for other clients too, is how do you process what you're feeling, and how do you navigate between, what is reactionary and what is happening, and learning how to soothe those emotions and understand where they're coming from, so that when you come back, or if your partner is the one that, when the timer goes off, comes to you and says, are you in a space where you're ready to re-engage or come back to that discussion, that you can come back with some insight instead of it being right back into it. It's being able to say, yeah, I'm ready to come back. I needed that break. This is what was coming up for me, and I apologize. I'm going to try and stay with you in this and not retreat like I do.
Or feel safe enough to be like, no, I need another hour.
Well, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If trying that's to give the latitude for that too. I notice this with my clients, but I also notice it with us, that it is hard to take breaks. It's hard to be in the moment of the overwhelm or the frustration or the, whatever the emotion is, and be self-aware enough to be like, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I need to take a break. I think that's only happened a handful of times in our relationship. At least it's a hard thing to do. Yeah. Yeah. So I think we just want to resolve it. Yeah. So we power through.
Well, we have the unique position where we're both mental health therapists, and we both think that we know what we should be doing.
Which is part of the problem.
And we talk ourselves out of using the very skills we're telling people they need to use. We're like, no, we have a higher distress tolerance. We can
Those who can't do teach, so here we are.
Yeah, so here we are. And it's literally when we start to push, it ends up not going well.
No.
Anyways, the conflict.
Or somebody shuts down.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I notice that's when I tend to shut down, when I need to be more advocating for that. Is when I am feeling overwhelmed, and I just, okay. And I just kind of shut down, put my head down, go into that place of just being like, you know, Mr. Nice Guy, as they say, because I don't want to stir the pot anymore. But
sure.
Yeah. But yeah, it's hard to do what we do and then go home and try and
do it.
And try and actually do it. Right.
Yeah.
People think and it's funny, a lot of times clients will kind of idealize us as therapists. Like, we must have it all figured out. And
we fucking don't have it figured out.
Like, clients will be like, you know, you and your wife are both therapists. Your kids must do so well. It's like, statistically, they're fucked.
Actually, we're paying a lot in therapy right now for our children.
Yeah. And for me.
And for you.
And for me, right? Therapists need therapy too.
Therapists needs therapy, yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that speaks to an awareness too, is that we are aware that therapy is helpful and it's a resource that we're able to access, where I don't think it's as easy to access for other people. And that's why we started the mental health urgent care clinic, is because it allows people to at least have access in their time of need faster than waiting a week.
Yeah.
And you can do in person or you can do telehealth, but it just makes the accessibility in those moments where you don't expect to need a therapist. I mean, there's plenty of times where people who, you know, just even ourselves, just in a normal day-to-day situation, something just happens and we're not equipped for that. We weren't expecting that. And we don't have someone we can call who's a professional to help us navigate that, because we're either discharged from therapy or we've never had a therapist before or whatever that is. And you go into a situation that was completely unexpected and it's like, well, shit, how do I deal with that? And that's a big need. Like, people don't have access to mental health care on a regular basis anyways, but when those moments come that could be actually contributing to it to be more traumatic by not having someone to talk to, the mental health care urgent clinic actually provides that need. Yeah. Someone's there to help you work through it. Someone's there to listen. You don't have to be in it alone.
Right. And, you know, the other reason I'm so excited about it is a lot of the time, and I just had a conversation with a client about this the other day. He just came back to therapy after taking like 9 or 10 months off. He just kind of ghosted and didn't come back. But he's like, you know, I made a call a few months ago to come back into therapy, and I left a voicemail, and, you know, they called back the next day. He's like, I called later at night, so I didn't expect him to respond that day. But, you know, they called me back the next day, but by then I was okay. I was like, oh, okay. Right. So that impulsive response to get help, if we don't get that immediate response, we've kind of missed that window to try and help. Right. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, like even with suicidality, this is maybe a weird tangent, but, you know, a lot of the time it's very impulsive. Maybe we should cut that one. I don't like that part.
No, it's fine. It's just like, wow, that did take a turn.
That's a hard pivot. So
yeah, we don't treat suicidality in here. Nope. Not in the mental health urgent care space, but yeah. So should we move into
catfish?
The catfish mom.
Wrong number? Is that what it's called?
The unknown number.
The unknown number.
I made Jake watch it, and he fell asleep the first attempt.
I get dissociated because it was so overwhelming.
and then he watched it on his own without me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you actually finished it this morning while you were at the gym.
I did. No, it was before I left. I was drinking my coffee. Yeah, you get excited to kind of talk to me about these things. And so when I see you get excited, I start to get excited. Like, this is going to be great. And then it's like
soul sucking. Like, you know, because my first lens that I had watching this documentary was as a dad.
And so I was so angry, right? Because, and you know, the cat came out of the bag, like I'd heard from you or somebody else, it was the mom. So I kind of immediately walked into it going, the mom is doing this, right? And later on in the episode, when it got to when the husband found out, like that's where I really got angry, because I like saw the betrayal and I saw the hurt. And I was also kind of confused by his response, because his initial thing...
We all were confused by his response.
Right. His initial thing was more about like the job security.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, that opposites attract thing. So he's like the guy that just doesn't do emotion. She's the super dramatic, emotional tornado, and he's the turtle. But, you know, he was just trying to get caught up. He just seemed really overwhelmed. So I think that's, you know, probably the reason why his response came out, or his reaction came out the way that it did. He didn't even know what to think. But I love that he was just like, you need to go.
Yeah, I mean...
With his daughter sitting right there.
What else? Yeah, she can't stay.
No, she can't stay.
Yeah, what I found most interesting is as I was watching this, and I found out that it was the mom in real time, because there were no spoilers at that time that I was watching. But what I found the most odd is the almost pornographic messages that she was sending, not just to her daughter, but to her daughter's boyfriend, and that she followed the boyfriend's relationships through his high school. And so definitely there was some, you know, fictitious disorder, some Munchausen by proxy disorder happening, but also they don't really address what happened with some of that sexual content in the documentary. So I am curious what happened.
One of the moms kind of talked about that, actually. She's like, you know, I felt it was uncomfortable, that it was inappropriate. That the mom was saying these sexual things about my son. And she goes, I think she had a crush on him, and she's attracted to him. And he kind of responded, he's like, yeah, it was really weird. She'd like cut my steak for me when I'd come over for dinner, and, you know, really dote on me that way. And so, you know.
But I don't recall there being any punitive action.
For that part? No.
Which has kind of icked me out a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a client with Munchausen, or what they're calling it, the diagnostic term is factitious disorder, right? So it's a factitious disorder, but it was factitious disorder imposed on another.
No, I have never had that.
Yeah, so that's Munchausen by proxy. I haven't had that, but I have had Munchausen or factitious disorder imposed on self. Right? Have you ever had a client?
No.
Never? Okay.
No.
Yeah. In private practice, I haven't. When I worked in community mental health, I saw it a bit more.
Sure.
Clients that would, what would they call it, malingering, right? Where they would kind of come in. And we do see this on a scale where clients will come in and kind of inflate their problems while they're with us.
Sure.
To get more attention, more affection, whatever that is. So to a degree, that's a really natural response.
Yeah.
To a degree.
Yeah. When it becomes clinically significant.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, that Munchausen or factitious disorder imposed on self, you know, I had one client that was, you know, shaving their head and talking about going through chemo and not eating and having all of these things as though they had this chronic terminal cancer, and they didn't.
Yeah.
Right. So, versus, you know, have some clients come in, they're like, oh, I had a terrible week. And then we get into what was actually happening, and it was, well, I just had a bad day. Right. So, I don't know.
There's a difference in the escalation and the behavior. Yeah.
Right. So, and I think one of the differences between malingering and the factitious disorder is the malingering is trying to get something external, right? Like a drug addict would use malingering. They'd go in and exacerbate their symptoms in order to get an external substance, in order to get external attention. Or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. People that go to hospitals often with certain personality differences might, you know, inflate their symptoms so that they'll get attention and care from other people. So that's malingering. The factitious goes more to, well, I'm going to get something internal, right? I'll be I'll be self-soothed, I'll feel safe, I'll feel calm, I'll feel in control.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's really what it was for this mom, was she was looking to feel in control and to feel needed. Right?
Yeah.
So that's the core of what it was. And
they talk about that, the pattern and the timeline of when this all ramped up was during a time where her daughter was starting to pull away a little bit in the relationship and becoming more independent and leaning into her relationships with peers and boyfriend and everything like that. And that's when these text messages started to ramp up.
She also said, that she was the victim of a sexual assault when she was 17. So when she saw her daughter kind of moving into that era of dating, that she became very fearful that that would also happen to her.
Right.
So she was trying to sabotage that so that she could try and keep her safe.
Sure.
By telling her to kill herself.
But we see that with factitious disorders. We see, if I use the term Munchausen by proxy, most people will be able to follow that. But like we see that with Gypsy Rose and her mom, when you don't know who Gypsy Rose is.
It took me a minute. I got there.
Okay.
We've seen that documentary too.
Yeah. And like we watched the documentary Scamanda about the cancer person. There was another one about a writer for Grey's Anatomy who did the same thing. I think I watched that by myself.
Yeah, I didn't see that one.
But it's becoming more available in the media for people to consume, and it's interesting that that's become something that people want to watch, is people significantly mentally ill, imposing harm either on themselves or on other people.
Yeah.
And yes, I hear what you're saying about the malingering to get an external type of thing, and then the internal emotional regulation, that distress tolerance is just not there, so they need other people to manage that for them. I absolutely see that. And it's just weird that we're making, to me, it's odd that we're making documentaries about it. It's like reality TV, but I've told you how I feel like reality TV is actually documentaries, but but it's interesting to watch people have these types of relationships. I get the allure, but also I worry about, because factitious disorder is a constant evolution of problems that are imagined and made up, that we're also feeding ideas for how to do that. Like when we watched Scamanda and the way she was able to take certain even household objects or order things online to create this facade was just amazing. And it's interesting because in those documentaries too, their partners or their male counterparts did not know what to do with it. They almost normalized it or found some sort of benefit for themselves for that to keep going, which is scary.
Well, it's kind of normalizing the trauma of a moment to try and just deal with it or get through it.
Yeah.
Right? I was doing some research on this. There's a guy named Dr. Feldman, Mark Feldman, I believe.
I thought you were going to say Dr. Phil.
No, not Dr. Phil. Dr.
You would
Feldman,
never quote Dr. Phil.
Yeah. And in the 90s, he coined a term, Munchausen by internet.
Oh.
Which.
Never heard of that.
Yeah. Which, was a lot of, in the advent of GoFundMe, right?
Yeah.
People using that as a method
absolutely
to gain, and that's malingering, right? Because they're well, and it could be a little bit of both, right? Because there
are some GoFundMes that are legitimate and people need help.
This is not a downplay on GoFundMe, but even the owner of GoFundMe is like, this is kind of horrible that I've created this monster, right? Where it's like the single biggest payer for healthcare in the country, and anyway,
that's
there's
a whole
lot
other subject,
right? But he was talking about how in the 90s there was this massive increase in people presenting symptoms that they're not well, that they're not doing okay, that they need money, that they need attention, that they need support.
Yeah.
And I think to a degree, I think we all, if we're in social media, we tend to put forward the part of ourselves that we want to be seen or that we feel like is going to get us the most amount of attention.
Yeah.
We even do it for likes and
Yeah.
followers and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a line there where it's unethical versus ethical, right? But I think it's probably gaining more popularity because it's relatable to all of us if we're online.
What's the difference between attention and connection? People mistake attention for connection. They believe that because there's likes, views, or repostings of their content, that therefore they're more likable or more loved and that they have connection with other people. When the reality is that you have a 5-second attention span of someone and that's it. And then they move on with their day and they don't think about you again. And people misunderstand that in the way that the internet and social media has really influenced how people look at their own lives. Because some of those people, yes, we may have some hyperfixation with a content creator or an influencer or whatever, and that's, it is what it is. But the reality is, more often than not, you have 5 seconds of someone's attention span, and that's it. You do not have connections with people who are widely watching your stuff.
Sure. And I think, what's the name of the gal that wrote Dopamine Nation? She was on the podcast Diary of a CEO talking about dopamine. And
I didn't watch it. I don't watch the ones about that one.
We played it.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
I don't know.
She's got like the highest viewing Diary of a CEO podcast episode ever.
Oh, okay.
And, I think we are conditioned to chase dopamine. And I think we mistake dopamine for oxytocin.
Well, yeah, our brain has the same receptors for both. I think I remember her saying. So there's it gets lost in the sauce kind of thing. Yeah.
Where oxytocin is that love hormone that comes from a deep level of connection, that 8-second hug, the 6-second kiss, the skin-to-skin contact, where the dopamine is that 5-second hit.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah.
Yeah. And unfortunately, because people find that and mistake it for the internet, they're less likely to have human connections that provide that oxytocin.
Sure.
So they're settling for a worse drug.
Yeah.
Essentially, they're settling for a worse drug and they don't understand that they're settling for a worse drug.
Instead of love, give me a hit of nicotine, or instead of
connection, give me attention, and we'll call it the same thing.
Yeah.
The world is much less connected because of some of these social media things, which is ironic because we're actually posting this on social media. So in a way, it's the hypocrisy for me.
Sure.
But also it is the only way to reach people, to try and build awareness. It feels like, to be able to say, if you're lonely, posting on the internet is going to give you a 5-second relief, versus if you go out and try to make connections and put yourself out there, but people are so terrified of rejection that they won't. And so it's pick your heart. You either choose to be lonely and have superficial relationships with people on the internet, or you take a chance to make real connections with people and go through bouts of rejection.
Right. So I think it's the difference between actual vulnerability.
Could you get it together?
It's my favorite picture of you.
I hate that picture. No, it's
No,
not
her
cute.
head's all blown
He
up.
made my forehead like a 12 head.
But yeah, it's kind of the difference between perceived vulnerability, which is scripted and manufactured, versus genuine vulnerability, right? So
yeah, yours is always scripted.
My social media posts.
Your vulnerability.
Is it?
That's why I stonewall.
Oh, okay.
And that's a callback.
Bookend.
Done and done. You good?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. I was starting to get bored with him. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.